What I personally feel is that having a good vocabulary definitely helps. It's your bank of words, right? Where you know a lot of words. If you have a very basic, a very beginner level vocabulary, you are not able to read properly. You are not able to understand the language properly. That's true. Uh, for vocabulary, I've seen so many people, who generally suggest that you should learn 5 new words every day or 10 new words every day and start using them on a day-to-day basis, so that you get really comfortable with those words and you can start using those words in your conversation. What I personally feel is, I think that is not the right way. I mean, you are consciously working on 5 new words or 10 new words. You have made it a task for yourself. This is something which you won't be able to sustain, which you cannot continue for a long time. That's for sure. Having a good vocabulary is definitely important. It's helpful, and good vocabulary basically helps you in comprehension, whether you are reading or you are listening to anyone, or maybe you are in a conversation or anything. So, good vocabulary will definitely help you understand, but there is something as your passive vocabulary. Passive vocabulary is something, the total amount of words which you know, which you understand. And active vocabulary, opposite of passive vocabulary, active vocabulary is something which, it is the vocabulary, it is the words which we use while speaking. Active vocabulary is always lesser than passive vocabulary. If you know 100 words, you generally use 30, 40, 50 words at max while speaking. If you know 10,000 words, you generally use at max 3 to 4,000 words while speaking. You must have noticed it that there are so many words which you don't use while speaking. If you are a bit observant, if you observe closely, you will see that there are so many words which you understand while listening or while reading stuff, but you don't use them whenever you speak. Right? So it's because of that passive vocabulary only. And why I'm not suggesting this 5 words or 10 words method and incorporating this in your speaking. There is no need to use those learned words in your speaking. First thing, we don't have to learn 5 or 10 new words each and every single day. There is no task. Don't get into such task. And second thing, don't start using those words in your conversation, because there are very high chances you will come across a lot of fancy words while reading and stuff, which you now start, if you start using them while speaking, the other person won't be able to understand. And if others are not able to understand you in most of the cases and most of the times, how can you call yourself a good speaker? Because a good speaker is someone whom people can relate to easily, whom people can understand easily. You can start using a very hi-fi vocabulary. You can start becoming Shashi Tharoor. Whenever Shashi Tharoor speaks, even the native speakers, I mean, of course, I'm talking about the normal citizens. Even the normal citizens who are native speakers don't understand him, because his vocabulary is so damn high. It's so damn big. High or big, I really don't know, man. Which word is more appropriate in this context? But I hope you are getting my point. So you don't need such a hi-fi vocabulary, especially while speaking. If you have that vocabulary, if you have that sort of passive vocabulary, it's a great thing. I'm not denying this fact. But while speaking, it doesn't make sense. I'm not saying you should not use hi-fi words. I mean, if your vocabulary is so damn big, then you will use these sort of words anyways, because it will become a natural process for you. Right? But I'm just saying that don't get into this deliberate effort of learning 5 or 10 words every day and starting to use those words in your at the time you speak or in any conversation. I think that's bullshit. I'm really very sorry. It's just my opinion. It's just something which I've observed. You will always like speakers whom you can understand easily. I always like speakers whom I can understand easily. You cannot become a good speaker if most of the people are not able to understand you. You must have noticed that whenever any particular group of people start talking about something which is not that common, and certain types of jargons start to come, right? A very hi-fi vocabulary starts to come, and most of the common men are like, man, what are they talking about? right? We don't understand the context, we don't understand what they exactly are talking about, even though we understand the language, but the kind of vocabulary they use is pretty hi-fi. And because of that, we generally don't understand most of the things, right? This thing can be felt by most of the children, especially, when I was small, and whenever, my father used to watch television, especially news and stuff, and of course in Hindi, because my native language is Hindi. So whenever there were any conversations going on related to, let's say, politics or any sort of conversation where a lot of Shuddh Hindi used to be spoken, and I was always like, man, what are they talking about? I'm not able to understand. Even though I knew Hindi, I have been speaking Hindi since my childhood till now. Everybody around me in my family speaks Hindi, but still I was not able to understand most of the things. Now I can understand because, of course, my vocabulary of Hindi has also increased. But the main thing is, I don't know, I'm sorry because I'm speaking a lot, I guess. The main thing is, don't get into this trap of learning 5 or 10 new words every day. Don't make it a task. Just do your reading stuff, just do your consumption stuff. That consumption will, anyways, and eventually lead you to learn newer and newer words. It will happen automatically. You don't have to put any deliberate effort. The only deliberate effort which you require is consumption. Consumption through listening, consumption through reading, and nothing else. And don't get into this thing that, oh, I will have to use these learned words into my conversations, because again, it's a deliberate effort. Don't get into these deliberate efforts. If your passive vocabulary increases, you automatically will start using many words out of that vocabulary in your day-to-day conversations or whenever you will get to speak. Don't get into this deliberate effort. This is something which I have observed, and this is something which I have noticed about myself, that there are so many words, there are so many phrases which I didn't put any deliberate effort behind, and still, if I notice, then yes, I have started using a lot of newer words, which once I used to think like, which once I was not even aware about. It happens naturally, it happens automatically. That's the main thing. Thank you so much for watching this video. Bye.